Yeah. So this just happened.
But the fact remains Russian troops currently have Ukraine surrounded from Belarus along the Russian border and with Ukraine to the Black Sea in the south and all of its border. Look, we have reason to believe the Russian forces are planning to and intend to attack Ukraine in the coming week, in the coming days. We believe that they will target Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, a city of 2.8 million innocent people. We're calling out Russia's plans loudly and repeatedly, not because we want a conflict, but because we're doing everything in our power to remove any reason that Russia may give to justify invading Ukraine and prevent them from moving. Make no mistake.
Yeah. So we're here now. I heard a lot about Ukraine. As far as what I remember, you had a guy that was playing the president of Ukraine on a hit TV show who ended up becoming the president of the Ukraine that may or may not still be in the Ukraine at the moment. Yeah. So how did we get here? Well, all I remember is over the past, I don't know, dozen years or so, it's like, well, we had Russian President Putin kind of went into Georgia, I believe, and took Georgia, and then he basically ninja'd Crimea. Oh, no, let me clarify. There were no comrades, there were no patches at the time. Those were just folks on their vacation. Yeah, on the weekends they were conquering Crimea. For Crimea, to my recollection, it was probably about like 90 something percent like ethnically Russian or something like that, or identified as Russian. And I think they had like an overwhelming vote to become part of Russia. This, I don't know. What does the Ukraine want? And also, all I know is when I get recommended an article from or video from Forbes or Bloomberg or something, and it's like, why President Biden is making a mistake. It was like a month or so ago. It's like, oh, he's like, well, you know what? Maybe we're not going to necessarily consider first strike capabilities. They just completely disassembled mutually assured destruction right there, because I thought the whole point of that was, yeah, if you do something, we're ready to destroy you and potentially the entire world. Therefore, we're going to avoid it. Continue, Mr. President.
If Russia pursues its plans, it will be responsible for a catastrophic and needless war of choice. The United States and our allies are prepared to defend every inch of NATO territory from any threat to our collective security as well. We also will not send troops in to fight in Ukraine, but we will continue to support the Ukrainian people.
Okay, so that right there, it's slightly confusing. It's like, well, Russia wants a war. We're willing to fight a war, but we're not going to put any troops on the ground. How's that gone historically? It, okay, I get it. I get it. Internationally, you're like, listen, we know you guys are planning on going in. We know a lot of the folks in the Ukraine, they've had an enormous amount of restraint, not necessarily getting baited into a potential war. And you also just stated we're not going to put any boots on the ground. So either you basically just told President Putin that, oh, don't you dare do this, but we're not, we will go to war with you, but we're not going to send any troops there. So you kind of just limited your options to either air capability and or I don't know. What could you use to fight another nation across continents? The president gets into that. It could just be a lie, because Americans are kind of tired of the wars we've been in for many, many years. Continue.
This past year, the United States provided a record amount of security assistance to Ukraine to bolster its defensive. $650 million from Javelin missiles to ammunition. We also previously provided $500 million in Ukraine and humanitarian aid and economic support for Ukraine. And earlier this week, we also announced an additional sovereign loan guarantee of up to $1 billion to strengthen Ukraine's economic resilience. But the bottom line is this: The United States and our allies and partners will support the Ukrainian people. We will hold Russia accountable for its actions. The West is united and resolved. We're ready to impose severe sanctions on Russia if it further invades Ukraine. But I say again, Russia can still choose diplomacy. It is not too late to de escalate and return to the negotiating table. Last night, Russia agreed that Secretary of State Blinken and Foreign Minister Lavrov should meet on February 24th. February 24th in Europe.
Okay. What are they negotiating? Again, I'm not an international diplomat or anything, but if I'm just following the memetics here, it's, as far as I understand it, Putin wants to make Russia the Soviet Union again. That's that's just what I'm hearing. That's just what I'm hearing. Yeah, I know, man. That yeah. we'll
But
get
if
into a little
Russia
bit of
takes
the press
military
stuff
action before
because
that date, we'll be clear that they have slammed the door shut on diplomacy. They will have chosen a war, and they will pay a steep price for doing so.
Wait, well, the thing is that what they want? I thought there's been severe sanctions on Russia for years now. I remember there was a dairy farmer raving about the sanctions because he basically just got these like, all right, we don't have stuff coming in, so I'm gonna have great business. And he spent like the next 20 minutes trying to give President Putin a thing of cheese. But it's very interesting if you look at the dynamics. I'm like, well, what ends up getting folks off your case domestically, at least historically? Well, nothing like a foreign conflict to try to unite people. I'm not saying that this is the case. That's just speculation. It's my opinion.
Not only from the sanctions that we and our allies will impose on Russia, but the moral outrage the rest of the world will visit upon them. You know, there are many.
Wait. Is the world the internet now, too? Did we finish the immersion? Because they used global outrage. And I understand it's all kind of always been a thing, but really? Is this where we're at? We're gonna do a call out video and be like,
Many
continue.
issues that divide our nation and our world, but standing up to Russian aggression is not one of them. The American people are united. Europe is united. The transatlantic community.
The David Pakman show audience didn't really seem to be big fans. I'm just saying, shout out to David Pakman. I am David Pakman Club or whatever .member. I got it on sale for like $3.50. But
is united. Our political parties in this country are united. The entire free world is united. Russia has a choice between war and all the suffering it will bring, or diplomacy that will make a future safer for everyone. Now, I'm happy to take a few questions. Nancy from Bloomberg.
Thank you so much, sir. Do you think that it is wise for President Zelensky to leave Ukraine if an invasion is as imminent as the U.S. says it is?
That's a judgment for him to make, and the
president is going to
whether
be
or not
of Ukraine is going to be meeting
I've
outside
spoken
of
with
Ukraine,
Zelensky
potentially during
a
an
dozen
invasion.
times, maybe more. I don't know. And it's in the pursuit of a diplomatic solution. It may not be it may be the wise choice, but it's his decision.
And do you have any indication about whether President Putin has made a decision on whether to invade? Do you feel confident that he hasn't made that decision already?
As of this moment, I'm convinced he's made the decision. We have reason to believe that.
There seems to be a unanimity, a spirit to do between the United States and Europe to do some sanctions, the comprehensive sanctions. But is everyone on board with the exact same sanctions that you want to do?
Okay.
Yes.
Take note of what he said before that. He believes that President Putin has made his decision to go in.
And President Putin is going to oversee some nuclear drills this weekend. How do you see that happening? What's your reaction to that, sir? Thank you.
Well, I don't think he is remotely contemplating using nuclear weapons.
The sheer fact that that's the response to that, All I know is if I was Russia, I was posturing. Probably would be a pretty good time to do some nuclear drills. And if you say, I don't think he's doing that, it's like, well, you don't know that. And yeah, you basically said we wouldn't even put troops on the ground. So I don't know. There's limited scenarios there, Mr. President. Am I going back to that Seinfeld episode?
But I do think I think he is focused on trying to convince the world that he has the ability to change the dynamics in Europe in a way that he cannot. But I don't, how much of it is a cover for just saying we're just doing exercises and there's more than that? I just can't, it's hard to read his mind.
So here's the thing. I think we actually talked about this at one point or another. Now, I could be completely wrong, but when we were going over some of the numbers of like active militaries within Europe, I think it was something like, what was it? Germany had like 1,000, 5,000, 6,000 Russia had like 30,000 tanks, and at the time, technically, was it Germany had like 6 fighter jets that were operational at the time. Maybe a bunch were in for maintenance or something, and Russia had, I don't know, tens of thousands. I'm just saying that it kind of, and again, I am not Russian. Well, I do have some Russian heritage, but at least, and I apologize for my globalism, anti-global, whatever it is. Sounds like a really Russian thing to do. Continue. Here's the question.
I'll take one.
You are convinced that President Putin is going to invade Ukraine. Is that what you just said a few moments
Yes,
ago?
I did. Yes.
Is diplomacy off the table then?
No, until he does, diplomacy is always a possibility.
What reason do you have to believe he's considering that option at all?
We have a significant intelligence capability. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So that happened not all that long ago. Yeah, I may be kind of quoting Starship Troopers there for the little intro, but so we're going to war, but we're not going to send troops. That's limited options there, folks. Now, is this going to change anything? My base opinion, probably not. Russia will say a whole bunch of things that you'll probably want to hear and everything, and then President Putin's going to do what President Putin's going to do. This is why you don't blink in the eye of the Great Bear. As soon as you show weakness, Mother Russia will come for you. Just my opinion. Oh, God, Mark, I hope you're wrong. I'd really, is this what we got to do? It's like, okay, we're finishing up 100-year play. Oh, well, it's about time for World War III. We really got to destroy ourselves before we can have replicators? Because that would piss me off. Well, that's all I got for as a dude on the internet. But peace out, everybody. Be safe and take care of yourselves, everyone. The future is unsure.